Well, July got off to a really hot start for the Knights, getting multiple commitments at the start of the month. We're going to talk about it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Charge On. As always, I am your host, Sean Green. Before we get started, as always, a quick word from our sponsor, BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. From baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are even being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet online, the game starts here. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I'm filming this day after 4th of July, so the day that you're seeing this, I am actually filming it. Really just had a relaxing 4th. Not doing too much, but I knew there was going to be a commitment for UCF, so I kind of waited for that. And then today, we got, we'll get into all the commitments, but we got a twin U boom. And we're also expecting, I'm recording this at around noon. We also are expecting one more commitment today. I'll get into that as well. But I hope you guys are doing well. We are also, I mentioned it on Twitter, we are just now under 2 weeks away from the start of the UCF Dynasty Series. I'm really pumped. Been doing a lot of tweaking and trying to make sure that I've got everything set up, ready to go, to be able to get episodes out to you guys. So I'm really excited about that. But Nick's got the day off, day after 4th. I wasn't going to ask him to do it. So let's get in to all of the news. I told you guys last week on the show, it was a shorter episode. I said by this time next week, there's going to be stuff to talk about because, June is the month for your recruits, all of these recruits to go take their official visits. It's the most important month, at least in my opinion, in many opinions. It's the most important month in college recruiting because you get players on campus for their OVs, you get to wine and dine them and try and win them over to officially commit to your school. Now, with that being said, these are just commitments. Now, I will say that usually when a player commits in this time of the year, and it's their first commitment, it's very rare for a player to back off that commitment by November, December, right? Now, it's not uncommon. I mean, there are players that they commit in the month of July and they decommit in September, October. So, again, everything is fluid in college athletics. So the players we talk about today, they are committed now. We don't know if they will stay committed, and then vice versa. Some players that maybe UCF missed out on, there's a chance that they will decommit and they're still in the running for UCF. I'm going to go in order of events. So I'm going to go whoever committed first, second. There's one guy I want to talk about briefly, or, that UCF did not get. So we'll talk about him as well. But let's start with the first commitment from 5 days ago. Carl Jenkins, 2025 receiver. He's a 4-star on Rivals. Now, this year with UCF, I'm going to be honest. A lot of the recruits are they're a 4-star. You probably on Rivals or ESPN. But like 247 and On3 has them as a 3-star. Now, they're ranked high 3 stars. But if I say 4-star, it's because on one of the 4 recruiting sites, they are labeled a 4-star. So, Carl Jenkins, again, big-bodied receiver, goes over the top, gets balls. He picked UCF over Mississippi State, Louisville, and USF. We always love to beat those guys down in Tampa for a recruit. But listen, when I had Steven Leonard on, he said, Carl Jenkins has a really good relationship with the staff. He was the first guy that was offered by Coach Harris when he became the offensive coordinator. That stood out to him. And I think, again, when it comes to wide receivers, UCF always brings in about 3 to 4 a class. And I think this guy can be really exciting. It's exciting to bring in, again, local talent. I think he's from Tampa, the Tampa area, if I'm not mistaken. So again, stealing a guy from a USF, or he's from St. Augustine, excuse me. So right up the road, about an hour or two. 6'3", 180. I was a little nervous because, again, we'll talk about, the other commitment in a second, but I was like, is UCF really going to nab 4 wide receivers this weekend? Obviously on On3, they have him rated as an 84 overall 3-star. Rivals has him as a 4-star. But again, really good to get him, bring him in and beat a school like Louisville, like Mississippi State, SEC, ACC teams for him. Now, probably the biggest commitment happened, let me see on my Twitter when it happened, because then you had a bunch of Orlando Magic stuff that took over my life for about a couple days. And then just one day ago, for the last couple days, or a couple days ago, it's been a little hectic, but Waden Charles. Now, Waden Charles is a guy that was originally committed to Miami. Again, when you talk about, he's listed as an athlete. And if you've watched his tape, you'll see why. Quick, can really do anything with the football. Waden is a 4-star on practically every single recruiting site except On3 and ESPN. So on On3, he's a 4-star. On 247 Sports, he's a 4-star. On Rivals, he's a 4-star. On On3 and ESPN, he is a 3-star athlete. He plays at Palm Beach Central in Boynton Beach. Again, Miami and him were committed very early. He said he committed basically right after he got the offer. Then realized, I need to take some time. I need to weigh out my options. Waden has been heavily leaning UCF for a while. It seemed when he decommitted from Miami, UCF were the leaders in the clubhouse. When you're talking about the top wide receiver on your board, this is him. There was another wide receiver where, again, we're going to get to him, that would have been even better. But when you talk about missing out on certain guys that maybe you thought you were going to get a guy like Waden Charles to come in is absolutely huge. Again, you don't know if he's going to play early. You don't know when these guys are going to get on the field. It really is up to them. Like when we talk about Burdell Richardson this upcoming season, like he's going to get playing time. From everything we have heard, and again, we'll see what he does in fall camp, but from everything we've heard, Burdell Richardson is that guy. Now, you wouldn't have seen it just based off of, the recruiting. I mean, he was a high-end 3-star, but there was better wide receivers that we signed, right? So it all comes down to how they perform in the camps. But if there was a guy that you could single out and say, this guy can get playing time early, it is Waden Charles. Also, his picture that he posted was sick because Hayes Fawcett did it. But big-time commit, obviously chose us over many top schools, top SEC schools. So it was really great to get him. Now let's talk about the July 4th boom. July 4th, obviously the last couple years has been big for UCF, big for a couple programs, but UCF usually likes to get a commitment on July 4th. It gets planned that way. Early in the morning, Andrew Stargell, interior offensive lineman, committed to UCF. He picked UCF over Ohio State, NC State, and I think there was one more. I didn't put it down, but three top schools. It might have been Kentucky. I can't remember exactly, but he was sought after heavily. Now, offensive linemen are very hard to get. Now, UCF is crystal balled for one of the top offensive tackles in the country. When he commits, we'll be able to bring it to you and talk about it. But Stargell is a 3-star athlete or 3-star commit on all the recruiting sites, 3-star. But you have to understand, with offensive linemen, it is so hard to gauge who is going to be a next level elite offensive lineman. So a guy like Stargell, who's rated as like an 86 overall 3-star, is actually one of the position, like one of those type of players that, again, an Ohio State wants, right? Because if you look at his height and his weight, 6'4", 284 pounds, get him in a weight program at UCF, he's only going to get stronger. He's already got the size for an interior offensive lineman. It's a really good get. It's a really good get, again, to get on 4th of July. UCF now, if you look at our commitments, and I tweeted this out, but this is going to be the year of the offensive lineman draft. Or not draft, but class. Me and Stephen Leonard talked about it a couple weeks ago, how if you look at who UCF was going after. Now, again, UCF lost out on a couple guys, right? Like Max Buchanan, he's going to Miami. A couple other guys not committed. But when you look at who UCF is going after, they're really trying to just get a bunch of offensive linemen. You got Jacques Joyner from Cocoa, right? He's an interior offensive lineman. Gavin Blanchard, another interior offensive lineman. Then you just sign a guy like Andrew Stargell. That's another interior offensive lineman. We're about to get a couple a tackle here, or a tackle there maybe. So you're filling out basically an entire offensive line that could be your future offensive line in this class. So, again, credit to Coach Hand, credit to the Knight staff. They're doing what they need to do. They understand where they need to really build through. Because if you noticed over the last couple seasons, the transfer portal is not the place you really want to go for offensive linemen. There's not that many quality offensive linemen that hop in the portal that is a plug-and-play starter from day one. You have a couple, and again, there are guys that you can plug and play from day one, but you can definitely tell that they're not elite. They're not that good. They're serviceable. They're good. They'll get you through a season, but it's not to the degree of this guy is going to change how we play on the offensive line. But again, to get a guy like Andrew Stargell, huge. To beat out SEC programs, huge as always. And we move. Before we go into our final couple commits, again, not too big of an episode. We're just talking about the commits this week. Javon Boggs. I think a lot of UCF fans were really disappointed. I was disappointed. I mean, Javon Boggs was number one on my board of players, athletes that I just wanted to commit. From Cocoa, only an hour down the road, one of the best wide receivers in the country, if not the best wide receiver in the country, in my opinion. If you watch the tape, you look at the stats, you see it. He picked Missouri over UCF. Now, UCF tried. UCF tried hard. I don't know the reasoning. I don't know if it's no quarterback committed for this class, even though E.J. Colson technically should be the quarterback of this class. I don't know if Mizzou just offered more money. I don't know if he just likes the fit better. We don't know. It is frustrating, 100%. Now, UCF is technically trending better than last year. Not by much, but they are trending better than last year. Now, we are expecting Kendarius Reddick to decommit any day. I mean, he's got crystal balls to USC. That is your number one recruit on the board right now. That is going to hurt your ranking. So be ready for that. UCF does have some recruits that are going to commit here in the next couple weeks that will help that ranking be kind of where it is now. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's who you can get to commit to your team. UCF did all they could with Javon Boggs. I'm assuming he's going to stay committed to Mizzou. He already decommitted from one team or one school. I don't think he's going to decommit again. I think he did take his time on this one. He really weighed out the positives and the negatives. So I think this one's going to stick. No, it sucks. You got Wade and Charles. You have a guy like Santonio Isaac on there. You have a Carl Jenkins Jr. You got a bunch of wide receivers. So you did what you were supposed to do. You got top-tier talent at the wide receiver position in the class, and you move on. And now, again, who's to say? You never know. What's UCF's big thing? If guys don't pick UCF originally, they go to their schools. If they don't like it after year one or year two, you can come and get them back. So it stinks, but we move on, and we go after some guys that want to be here. Now this is where it gets a little interesting, right? Today we got a twin boom. Darryl Desir, Mandrell Desir, both committed to UCF. I'm going to go into them. We do have a commitment that is supposed to be happening today, that could potentially be happening today. I'll talk about him as well. But let's talk about the guys that actually committed to us today. Daryl Desir and Mandrell Desir, both from Miami, Florida. Again, on most recruiting sites, it said it was both us and Kentucky. They took visits to Kentucky. He definitely picked us over the top schools in Florida. It wasn't just us going after them. I know most of the schools in Florida were going after these twins. I think schools in Florida just need to learn that if there's a twin duo in Florida out there in a 2020 whatever recruiting class, UCF's going to get them. UCF is Twin U. It's very well known. They continuously get sets of twins. And these guys are really good. They're both 3-star edge rushers, defensive ends. Here's what I like. If you look at their size and you look at their stats. So if I can pull up their stats really quick. I am not prepared as much as I would like to be, but we'll get it up in 2 seconds. Again, you can imagine getting 2 edges in a class especially. UCF has really gone heavy on edge in the last couple years to set themselves up because I think they realize pass rushing is at a premium, especially in the Big 12. Daryl Desir, 6'4", 225. He's the higher ranked of the two. And again, if you look at the stats, you'll understand why. Daryl last season had 48 tackles, 16 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, and a forced fumble. Mandrell still had a really good year. He had 29 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 2 fumble recoveries. So again, they're both, like, if you were to get one of them, you would be ecstatic, right? You'd be thrilled. But you get both. So it's like, you look at an Andrew Harris, right? Andrew and Michael, like, they both committed somewhere else. Andrew committed to UCF. Michael went to Maryland. Nobody expected that. So to be able to, again, lock down a set of twins, get 2 players that are really, really talented is absolutely huge. And I think it's big time for UCF. They're going to come in and bring depth to the edge spot. So, I mean, it's great. It's a great gift for UCF. And again, they beat out some top schools for these kids. Kentucky, Georgia, Florida State, Miami, Texas A&M, and Pitt. They were also considering as well. So UCF beat out some top schools for these players. All right, so as of right now, those are all the commitments. Now, there is one more, and remember, I am filming this at noon, so UCF might be getting another edge today. Tylon Lee, another edge guy, 6'4", 245, from Milton, Florida. There is smoke that he's potentially committing to UCF today. We don't know for sure. I'm recording this. He's got other schools that are interested. We don't know if it's 100% UCF or I know obviously Kansas is in the mix. Ole Miss is in the mix. Miami to a degree is in the mix. Arkansas is in the mix. I'm just going to say if UCF can get a guy like Tylon Lee, another edge, that would be 3 edges in the class. You're shoring up that position and you are creating, and he's probably, you can make the argument, him and Daryl are 2 of the best edge rushers in the class. I mean, I don't even know which one's probably better. I would probably say Tylon. He's a little bit bigger, and they're both about the same height, but he's just a little bit more beefy with the weight. He's got 245 on him already. So again, if you get him to a college weight program, I've always said that, you don't know what he could be. But I'm just mentioning that in case he does commit. That'd be a bunch of commitments over the last week for the UCF class, and UCF is not done. They've got many more commits to go. This is going to be a big class. I mean, as of right now, and again, there's a decommitment in there already with what's his name, Kendarius Reddick. Kendarius Reddick most likely is going to decommit. Right now, you already got 14 commitments. If we look at 2024, it was a total of 17 commitments. So UCF is loading up in this 2025 class. I'm sure they're going to load up in the 2026 class as well. The 2026 class is really good. But we'll see what happens. Really looking forward to seeing more commitments over the next week. And that's going to do it. I think we got through all of them. Again, another semi-short episode. Just wanted to keep you informed on who's committed, my thoughts on them. Again, it's really hard to say what these players are going to be until they get on campus. But at the end of the day, UCF is recruiting really high-quality players to come and play for the Knights. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, share. Do all that you do. Giveaway. Don't think we're going to hit the giveaway, but if you want, tell all your friends, tell all your family. Subscribe. Go look at the tweet. If we get to 850 subs, we're giving away a bunch of stuff. We're going to be doing more giveaways very, very soon. Without a date set in stone, I want to be giving away copies of NCAA, or College Football 25, excuse me. So we're going to be doing giveaways very, very soon if we don't hit that. But make sure you follow me on Twitter at Sean M. R. Green. And definitely, like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got a bunch of new content coming over the next couple weeks. All right, everybody. This has been Charge On, presented by Bet Online. We will see you next week.